Hey there, everyone, and welcome to a very exciting Friday Facts number 386, Volcanus. And we get a first look at one of the new planets coming in the expansion here. I believe there are four new planets, I think, if I remember correctly. And this is the first one that we've actually gotten a look at in any detail whatsoever. And it's super exciting. It looks really good. It looks way better than, honestly, I think a lot of people thought it would. So we have some exciting stuff to go through here. Now, this is a very long Friday Facts, so I have created a summary to go over parts of it. Not that any of it's like necessarily unimportant, but it would just take a very long time to read it verbatim. So we're just going to hop in here. This whole thing is written by Arundel. I think that he put in a lot of the work for at least the visuals of this and the general like overarching design and stuff. So we will just start out reading this. Basically, he says, as you already know, there are four new planets in the expansion. We will take an in-depth look at each planet's terrain, challenges, processes, techs, and new gear, but not all at once. In some cases, the planet content will be split into multiple parts. To kick things off, I'll cover the terrain and natural aspects of the planet that is closest to being finished. I'll need to be in Games Master mode for this. So, excuse me, this is actually really well written, though. Like, if you do want to just read it yourself, Arundel does an excellent job writing stuff here. It was a really enjoyable read, but we'll go in here. So this one is obviously a volcanic planet. It's essentially the closest planet to the sun in the Factorio solar system. They wanted something that was hotter than Novice and something obviously then colder than Novice, so we will be getting a cold planet as well. And volcanic obviously means it's hotter, so it will be closer to the sun. I think it's in between Novice and the sun is my understanding of how they go through this. And this is generally kind of like a overview, zoomed out, what this looks like. So it has quite a few features. It has blazing volcanic mountains, lava pits, sulfuric acid geysers, ashlands, basalt basins, and more. And you can, again, this is a very good read. Definitely recommend reading it if you have the time. But they do show a preview here, so I'm going to go ahead and just full screen this so we can get the full visual. There is no sound, but this looks so good. Like, this honestly looks way better than I thought it was. So these would be the sulfuric acid geysers, and then there's some just normal geysers here, or like empty ones that don't seem to do much. You can see the lava. It looks absolutely amazing. They actually use a new shader for that. We'll go into that a little later. There's cliffs, which is maybe annoying to some, especially if you can't turn them off, but it does add to the atmosphere and looks really nice here. So that's just a preview. There's several more to go through as we get farther down. So essentially, the blazing volcanic mountains. So there's central lava pits that serve as a disposal for waste items, which is super cool. So you can just dump stuff into the lava to make it disappear. No more sticking it in chests and shooting it. Once you get here, you can just throw it in the lava and it's bye-bye, which is super, super great. So, that's kind of what we went into here. They say further down the mountainside, sulfuric acid geysers billow thick yellow smoke from the fissures. The surrounding area is pitted by dried sulfur puddles with sulfur-stained rock that covers a large area. And then, so that was that preview. And then in the shadow of the mountains, the ashlands offer some semblance of tranquility in this turbulent landscape. So the ashlands have insulating ash plains, which provide a good area to like build a base on and stuff, right? They're kind of more flat, less chaotic, and then it's mainly like a desert, but there's like little bits of vegetation that survive like all the ash and stuff over time, and the only resource there is coal. So they say basically that, and then we can take a look at what this looks like. So you can see this is generally flatter. There's not a ton of cliffs. There's no lava really. There's some trees on fire, which I love. And this part looks the most similar to Novice, I think. Like, it kind of just looks like a recolor of Novice, which is not a complaint. That's, it's kind of what they're going for. They want some area you can build in that's not a complete nightmare. And then there is coal there to be harvested as well. And then as we descend further, we reach the basalt basins. Is it basalt? I think it's basalt basins, where there's huge lava lakes and rivers in like a labyrinth network, essentially. And then lava becomes obviously a formidable obstacle, but it does provide resources. Is it can be an abundant resource for iron, copper, and stone, which is really interesting. So this is actually one of the more exciting parts for me, because this kind of speaks to like some sort of volcanic forge or something. I'm hoping for something super cool where we can take the lava and, you know, forge it down into these resources. Now, I did read through this forum responses, some of them, and some of the Reddit responses, and there seems to be some questions like, is this just going to be an unlimited resource for iron, copper, and stone, or will the lava actually dry up at some point? I'm not really opposed to either option. I get the feeling it's not something that will just dry up. I don't know that they have the ability really to do that, or if they do, I don't know if they would choose to, but you know, I'm not hugely opposed to it, because it's probably like either a fairly complex or expensive process. And, you know, again, once you get to another planet, like iron and copper and stone is kind of like a basic resource, essentially, because there's like a whole new resource here, and then I'm sure there will be on other planets. So, you know, this is like kind of basic stuff at that point. So I don't know, it's like the worst deal if it's kind of just unlimited, because I'm sure it will be either somewhat slow or difficult or both. So you can see finally the pursuit of tungsten beckons exploration deeper within the lava maze. That's why you're really here, right? So we do get tungsten, which we'll see a little bit later on. With unyielding toughness, that little drill you brought won't do you much good. I'm sure nothing will mind if you mine a little. But who knows what might awaken in the depths of Volcanus. So this is definitely saying some sort of new enemy to me. I don't think that the one they teased a long time ago that looked like some sort of crazy like floating brain worm or something, I don't think that's what's going to be on this planet. It just didn't really seem to fit the theme. But having some sort of, I mean, that definitely is some sort of a teaser to enemies. It'd be crazy if there's stuff that like comes out of the lava and it's just some sort of like volcanic lava enemy or something. I don't know. It'd be super neat. So yeah, so this area you can see, this would be obviously great to set up like all your smelting and forging, because there's a ton of lava, but there's not really a lot of room to do like a bunch of large building. So that would be good for that. I'm also envisioning some super cool rail bridges in elevator rails going all over all these lava pits and like steam vents. I think it's gonna be awesome. So that's like the overview of the planet. Now there's a very large section on the design elements, which are actually really interesting. It's not super technical, but again, just for time's sake and keeping things a reasonable length here, I'm going to summarize it. So as I mentioned before, it's the hottest planet, named after the Roman god of fire, volcanoes, and metalworking. The initial considerations included the challenge of making lava interesting, but without making it cliche, because, you know, that's a very kind of standard cliche thing in games to have like a lava world. So Arendelle actually got some pushback initially with this, but you know, had some counterpoints that essentially that the pushback would only be true if the planet was one-dimensional and its only purpose really was being lava, which is not the case, because you can get multiple resources here. And if we don't have parts of the landscape hotter than Earth, then as our hot planet, then many people would find it underwhelming, right? So like if it's supposed to be your hotter planet, but there's no lava and stuff, it doesn't make a ton of sense necessarily. So, you know, I don't think lava is an issue. It's maybe not a surprise or unexpected by any means, but I'm not disappointed by it at all. It looks really good. They can say, he says that basically the focus is on ashy plains, like we said, mountains, sulfuric acid geysers, etc. And then here's a full resource breakdown. We have lava, which, as I said, provides iron, copper, stone, and then the excess can be discarded back in the lava, as well as, my understanding is, just any item you can just throw in the lava and it'll, you know, be gone forever, which is good as long as you don't make a mistake. Coal, which is the main resource in the ashlands, which is derived from berry vegetation, which is pretty interesting. Sulfuric acid geysers, where you can just directly harvest sulfur. Now, this is really interesting. They do show pictures further down. I'm curious if this is going to be just mined with a mining drill or if there's some new mining mechanism for it, because it does look kind of, I mean, it's hard to tell. Like, it kind of looks like just normal resource nodes. You can see some here, but also it looks like something I'm not sure you could put a mining drill on without it being really weird. But again, I'm not entirely sure how they're going to work that. And then there's actually two new resources. I misspoke earlier. There's two new resources I forgot. So there's also calcite, guys, which is a new resource which is useful when combined with other elements. Now, if you remember a little while ago, I did a video where I went over like all of the Easter eggs and kind of hidden stuff in the Friday facts we've seen so far. If you haven't checked that out, definitely take a look through that. I'm pretty sure it's in this playlist maybe. But I did point out that there was a new resource icon that was being used for like a train station name or something, and I feel like it might be calcite. It kind of seems like that might be what it is. It could be tungsten though, actually, as well, because the colors kind of match. So I think what we were seeing in that in that when I went over it in that video was one of these two resources. But we go on further to the whole design process. So landscape generation was a challenging process, and it required a blend of math, code, and artistry. Volcanus has a predictable starting area designed to showcase terrain associations. So this is kind of just an overview of what the map looks like. Very, very cool looking for sure. I really like this. You can see, so this is like tungsten. Here's the sulfur areas, lava, kind of like lava rivers and pits here. And then we go further, and tile sets underwent multiple iterations with reference images, creative freedom, and intentional stylization, and then special attention obviously was given to lava with a glowing lava shader using multiple texture layers and distortion. So this is what we just went into. So this is the area where it's like the designated kind of showcase stuff. So we have like a starting lava basin, starting ashlands. Here's like where you would start, I believe, kind of in all of them almost, and then the starting mountain. And this is just to kind of give you an idea. And this is this one right here. So this is the resource I saw in the video I was referencing, and I think this must be tungsten, it looks like, or maybe, yeah, it's not stone, because they didn't change that. There was also a stone graphic, so I think this is tungsten is what this is. And then this looks like the sulfur vents there, which is super cool. I really like that there's another way to just directly harvest sulfur, which does kind of indicate to me that maybe we'll need it for more stuff later down the road, rather than just like the one or two things we use it for now, which is fine, because obviously you'd have an abundance of it if you only need it for what we need it for now. But and then we go down, and you can kind of see some of the like tile set here and in ground they've created. It looks so good. Especially I really like this, how it's just kind of a background glow to this. It looks really nice. And then there was a new shader created for the lava. So this looks super fantastic, because they were trying to balance between having it just be like water that just kind of looked different, or being something that looked really cool but was completely like stationary and not moving. So they developed a new shader for this, and it looks great. It like, you can even, I feel like I can see the heat coming off of this, like especially down here. It just looks so good, so animated. You can see little parts of it is like catching fire on the ground, like next to it, which is definitely realistic. So I'm just gonna say a lot. This looks really good. I'm super impressed with what they've been able to do with this within the Factorio engine. And then we go further down into thermal vent chimneys and ashland vegetation. So you can see just here's some like examples of cliffs, which is the other thing we saw as like a kind of an Easter egg in a previous Friday Facts, is they had a new cliff icon in a decon planner, and that's what this is from, or that was from. You can see cliffs here. This makes a very good defensible area as well. This is just like a completely entrenched area as well. So this is what the sulfur vents look like. They look super good. Like I said, it looks kind of like a resource node. I'm guessing it's probably something you get with mining. Well, I don't know that it would be though, because I mean, it doesn't really look like ore. I mean, I guess there is some ore here though. So I'm curious if you'll just put mining drills on this, or there will be some sort of new machine to mine this with, which would be pretty neat. There obviously is going to be new machines and stuff, because we somehow have to turn lava into completed resources, which I doubt is happening in a normal smelter. So I'm sure we'll see quite a bit of new stuff with this planet, machines and obviously resources as well. And then the trees. So here's more of the vents. Some of these look like you probably can't mine stuff from them, but they're there just for visuals, which looks fantastic. And then the trees in the ashland have a unique, possibly indolith is a word they use. I don't know quite how to pronounce that. Fungus-like appearance. So yeah, these look kind of not great in terms of their health. They look good visually, but yeah, they look like maybe you don't want to stick around there too long. Plus they're on fire, so that's not great. And then we get tungsten. So this is what tungsten looks like. I like how it's kind of I don't know if oozing is the right word, but it kind of seeps out from here. It's just like all these new resources and stuff are absolutely amazing. So there is remaining work with this though. So the conclusion is that there's some placeholder graphics, notably for tungsten. So this is actually placeholder. It's going to be reworked, and calcite are acknowledged and expected to be replaced. So actually, I did misspeak. I think up here, if I can scroll up fast enough, this I think is actually calcite, probably. And then maybe this is tungsten, or I'm not really sure, because I only see the one. Oh, well, here's something. Maybe this is tungsten, this purple stuff. It was hard to see initially because it was almost the same color as the background. This is probably tungsten, and this is calcite. So that's likely what that is, actually. I think about it. So this is actually maybe calcite. Interesting. I'm now like a little stumped because I don't think it actually says necessarily. I'm guessing the darker stuff is tungsten and this is the calcite. And then they say this is actually the planet that is the most developed. Excuse me. So I mentioned in the past, like they're showing us all this cool stuff that seems pretty well done. And I'm like curious how they have a year's worth of development left when they're showing us all this stuff that seems mostly done. But now I'm starting to understand because, if there's 4 planets and, they obviously spent a very long time working on this one and this is the most done of them and still have some work left. They presumably have 3 other planets that maybe you're not even half done yet. So I can see why they have a lot of work ahead of them, but this looks absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure there will be new resources on all new planets. There's going to be some sort of cold ice water planet for sure, because they specifically said they wanted a hot one and a cold one, and then there's 2 more after that. So there was another one that looked kind of like just the preview image of it in the tech tree when we saw a while ago, looked kind of like maybe foresty type of thing, or maybe just like more Earth-like. And then the last one, I think the other one is like the super late in-game, the last planet you get to, where you have to get every research done first or whatever. That one I couldn't really tell what it was like, but it's going to be really interesting what that one's like. I'm sure there's going to be some pretty significant challenges and rewards on that one. So overall, I don't want to keep this any longer. Keep going any longer, but I'm super happy with this. I think a lot of people, including myself a bit, were worried, is this just going to be a reskin of Novice and look the same but with different colors like alien biomes, which again, not to hate on alien biomes, that's really good for what we can do with a mod, but as you can see, there's just stuff you can't do with a mod like this. This does look very much like a new planet. Like, it still obviously is limited by Factorio, mechanics and engine, but it very much looks like a different planet, a different landscape and environment, and different experiences for sure. And we haven't even seen the enemies that go with it yet either. So overall, very pleased with this. They did a fantastic job, and I'm super excited to see the next one. I'm curious. I don't think they were going to show us one like the next ones, like the next 3 weeks, just because it sounds like those aren't really that close to done. But I really do look forward to when we can see the next one, and also whatever next week is too. So as always, thank you all so much for watching and hanging there hanging in there with me throughout this longer one. And I'd love to hear, as always, what you have to say down in the comments. I always enjoy reading your thoughts. Do you like this? Do you not like this? What are some challenges you think we'll present? I'm curious what type of enemies and such you think will be here, maybe what type of new smelting machines and all that. But overall, seems like from what I've read in the forums and such, people are very pleased, as am I. And if you did enjoy and are excited for this and the future planets, feel free to drop a like. And if you're new, welcome, and feel free to subscribe as well to keep up with future content. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.